How many fish could a black hole swish if a black hole could squish fish? I don't know what that intro was. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Black Hole Fishing. Yeah, this is a game I ended up making in about a month and a half. Then I created a Steam page and I finished a demo and I released it, and it's currently in the Steam Next Fest along with my main game, Terminal Bore. And it's been a wild ride, and I finally got time to slow down enough to make a devlog and talk about this. So this started way back in February. I had a silly idea. Every night I give our 2-year-old a bath, and we have this little tradition where I will wrap her in a towel, she'll sit in my lap, we'll pull the drain, and we will watch the whirlpool suck the bubbles down, and we'll make slurping noises as the whirlpool's doing that. And super fun, but one night I was looking at this and thought, what if this was a fishing game? Wouldn't that be fun if you had a game where instead of using a hook, you were catching fish with a whirlpool? What could cause that? I wonder if there's a hole in the pond. Oh, I know, black hole. So I came up with this idea for black hole fishing and posted it over to a Discord community I'm in and got an incredibly positive response to this idea. And so I started thinking about it, and a couple months later, I finished up my terminal board demo. So the other game I've been working on, and really just feeling a little burned out, needed a break. Said, I'm going to make this one. Jumped right in with a design document, and I wanted to do a one file challenge. So the entire design document was going to be a single file in Godot. You can have scripts that are built into the scene file, so that was easy. But how do you make art without any art? No sprites, no images, no external 3D models, like just the game engine. So that was the first thing that I ended up figuring out kind of accidentally through this challenge. But I made a little pond out of a polygon, and then I created a fish using a line node. And with these line nodes, you can attach a curve to them, which can define the shape of the fish. And then you place points to set that fish to, match the shape, because it ends up drawing as a polygon. So you don't get the full shape of the line, you just get the parts that are sampled. But so I was able to do that. Now I have a pond and a fish. And then at some point I ended up adding googly eyes, which was a great idea because I'm pretty sure that's responsible for at least half the interest this game has gotten. And so that was my start to this design document of the game. But after having that super rough prototype with a bunch of text describing what things do, I started working towards actually making a game. And because I've done one game on Steam already, I started with all the things you might not expect. So I have saving, I have loading, I have Steam integration and achievements, I have a main game mode versus a demo mode, and buttons like the wishlist button are only available in the demo. And then I set up a system where I can automatically build my game, record the gameplay footage, save that off to a file so I have an archive of all the previous builds, and then push the whole thing to Steam with a single button press. So that was a lot of work that mostly was work for all of my games, not just work for this one game. But once I was through that basic setup phase, I was ready to actually dive in with the game. So I started just replacing the placeholder text with actual game elements. So the first thing I did was get the fish moving around, and then I set up a black hole where now the fish are getting sucked into the black hole. I think this is the point where I added those googly eyes, which was a great idea. And then I started adding just more art and stuff to it. So I had multiple water layers. So as the fish get sucked into the hole, they drop below. There's just increased transparency, so that gets more and more blue as they go down. And then I set up a super stalker. So this is the main part of the incremental game. If you imagine this like cookie clicker, clicking the cookie, in my case, it's scaring fish into this black hole. But you have very few fish spawn naturally, so the next step is to start stalking the pond using these super stalker objects. So this is the main part of the demo right now, is upgrading these, unlocking and upgrading more and more of these to get more fish into the pond so you can then catch them faster with the black hole. So I got those set up, and I'm going to have a bunch of different traits and different things. Right now, the fish only have a base spawn rate, so how fast the fish will come out of that super stalker, and then how much money the fish is worth when it's caught. But I set up all the data systems on the back end, so I can have a bunch of other traits. So special things they do, how they affect the black hole, even things like the color and the striping and patterns and all that. So I have all those things set up, but I kept it simple for the demo. You just have 8 colors of fish that you can upgrade through, and those come out of the super stalker node, and then those will all get sucked down the black hole, and then you get points for that. At this point, I have a a working prototype. It's not super fun to play. I'm missing a bunch of things, but it's technically complete. So I stopped and made a Steam page for it. And once again, having done a game before, I had a bunch of ideas on how to do this well. So I saved off every iteration of the Steam page. Really fun to be able to go back to and see all of these steps as I go. You may notice in this first one, I did have some AI art in the marketing materials, just trying to get that out there. Specifically, this logo was generated. So I immediately started working with an artist. Before this, I did a game jam. I met an artist in the game jam, and we made a little game about based on the parable of the sower. And so this was a really fun little game, and he did a great job with it. But he reached out right away and said, "Hey, if you want, I can help you with your capsule image, the Steam marketing materials." And it turned out that was an amazing choice. He did such a good job. I will link his stuff in the description too if you're interested. But he knocked it out of the park, and I got a really good marketing materials for this game as well. I love the vertical one where the fish are slightly above the text. I think that turned out so great. But so I got all of this set up, got a Steam page, got everything else. And then I just came back around and started layering up the actual game as far as the look and feel of it. I'm going to be posting on Reddit and doing these other things, so I think it's important right off the bat to make the game look as good as it can. Of course, within the restrictions I'm using, I'm still 100% just using Godot. There's no external art. Started playing around with shaders, and turned out that was a good idea. I didn't like it at first. I think my shaders were too dark, but my wife preferred this one to the one that was just flat. So I ended up tweaking it and got a finished version of the game that has more texture and details to it. And then also went around and updated my menus. So for these stalkers, at first they were just putting random fish in the pond, but I wanted to set up this upgrade cycle. So I created a menu for that, and also I'm teasing some of the features from the main game in this menu. With that, I had the demo essentially done, good enough that I can get feedback. So I was a little bit behind schedule at this point. So this was last Wednesday. I clicked the button to release the demo and basically did a stealth launch where I didn't do a bunch of announcements or anything. I just posted a few places on Reddit, mainly saying, "Hey, I'm looking for playtesters," and then got it up there and started getting some good feedback on it. But as I was finishing out that week, I was really trying to get all the remaining pieces in. So the last night, I ended up pulling an all-nighter because I still had this placeholder art for the magazine. And this is a major part of the game where you have this magazine where you get everything from, and I want it to be themed like a Bass Pro Shop catalog. So I ended up spending all night on that, but I was really happy with the result and managed to get it in just in time for the actual Next Fest Festival. So released the 1.0 version of the demo, and was able to continue just bug fixing throughout the week. And I've been getting a really good response, which has been super exciting. Of course, I did realize on Wednesday that I had completely forgotten to add more than one environment to my Steam page. I was getting more demo plays than wishlist and realized, I don't think people know that this game has more to it. So I had to mock up some of those just to show that, hey, there's going to be more complexity. You really do want to put wishlist this game for later. But so with all that, we're now up to date, and going to be layering up and adding more stuff. And, ideally this game is going to be a lot bigger. I have a lot more ideas, but we'll save that for another devlog. So I think that's it. I did end up dedicating the game to my number one fan. Every night my daughter runs into the room and says, "Fishy game, fishy game, fishy game." And I have to pull it up, and then she says, "Purple one." And I'm like, the purple one is hard to unlock. Okay, the developer mode, let's go find the purple fishy. But she loves the game. So I decided to put her face in the front just to say, hey, this is for you, and I figured nobody looks at logos anyways, but I'm going to, close out this video with a little bit of footage of Fishy Game and the number one fan of Fishy Game, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.